Good evening. How's everybody doing? So, back with another video today. I think it was important to make a video right now. I think it was like, it blew me away. Something that happened today. Like, a situation that left me, well, flabbergasted is a good word. I like funny words like flabbergasted. It left me with a sense of like, not understanding. And I didn't even get mad. Well, I did. I think I might have like got upset for about 30 seconds. And then I just started worrying about my kids. This involves my children. And I've been sitting here thinking about it for hours. And, well, I'm still standing. Let's start there. So I felt maybe I would come on here, and this one might be a little long. Because I'm going to share current set of events that I'm dealing with while making these videos. And I want to show you that nothing's too hard to deal with. And it may be stressful because there's a lot of stuff you've got to figure out. I like to learn anyway. I don't know how any of you were raised or what your childhood looked like. I've started to divulge pieces of mine. But I can tell you, skipping forward, that the conclusions that I reached in regards to children is they must be protected at all costs. They must have the ability to make mistakes without being punished. That they need to have the ability to speak their voice and learn the consequences of being honest or not being honest. You know, all the things that let us figure out where we really are in life. That love is the only thing that a child needs to mentally develop into a good human being. Physically, they need all kinds of shit and clothes and constantly and food and everything. On no disagreement, but mentally, I think they just need love. So I've been in like this continual battle with their mother. And I've had to go through a lot of experiences and overcome a lot of emotional hardships to be a good dad. I'm proud of myself. I celebrate. I don't know how else to explain it to you. I'm really glad that I took the time to care about my kids in a real way, not as fish love, but as real love, you know? And somehow that's created this huge amount of hate. And there's these, her and her husband and I, we barely speak, you know, and there's complications. But the thing is like, did you know? And I got this directly from the governor's office of Oregon, that across the United States, and we're civilized, right? That a child's considered property in the eyes of the law. And that's what custody is about. Because if you have full custody of a child, then that's your property to determine to do whatever you want with it. Now, I've been to court multiple times. I've been through CPS multiple times. I've been to court multiple times. And I've never been able to get satisfaction. So finally, I was told by the head of CPS in Salem, Oregon, that if I had a problem with how they were doing things, that I could call the governor's office and complain, and gave me the number. And so, in speaking to this man, a couple of things were apparent. Number one, he used to work at CPS. So the person that oversees CPS is one of the homies. You know how that works? It's real weird. The person that's supposed to do oversight on CPS probably's got a long, dirty list of things that they don't want to get noticed either. Number two, there's no law that says another man can't hurt my kids. Can't scream at them until they cry. Can't spank them as long as there's not enough marks. That even with bruising, it's questionable, and as long as the other parent is okay with how another man treats your children, that's legal and okay, because the kids are her property. This is just the law. This is coming from a guy that believes in fairness. That no matter what, I was taught as a kid, if you do a crime, you do the time. And I didn't listen to that when I was a kid, and I went to jail and I did the crime and I did my time. And the other side of it is if you don't do crime, you're supposed to get justice. That's how it's supposed to be. And I know I can hear the people just thinking, that I'm naive. But if I'm naive, then why are we still allowing the system to be in place at all? That's the question I pose to you. Because if you understand that something's wrong and you don't fight against it, then you yourself are part of what's wrong. And if it's an evil situation where it's absolutely, actually detrimental to people's mental health, and you participate in that by knowing about it and doing nothing about it, you are part of that problem. You're part of the very mindset that allows it to continue in this world. So we talked for like an hour and a half. And I talked this guy into a corner. I don't know very many people that can think on their feet. Like it's just like a politician. They can write and read off a script. The second you get them off that script, they ain't got no answers. They don't know shit. They're a parrot. This guy was a parrot. And then he squawked a few times, and I had to walk him back and I'd make him understand that, like, what are you saying? Like, you're literally, and it came down to this, the very thing he told me from his own lips, that children are property. That literally, as a CPS worker, he had gone and removed children from situations, and they had gone in and said their amendments were violated by their private property being unconstitutionally seized, and they had to give the kids back. That's how you beat CPS in court, when they take your kids. Unlawful search and seizure of your private goods. That's the law that you use to get your kids back from CPS, and you win every time. Did you know that? You do now. So, if I was to do any sort of even verbal violence, remember, only verbal, they could have me locked up. But they're allowed to hurt my children. And that's okay. And that's the United States that we live in. And I just wanted you to understand that, like, it's not right. It's not cool, There's no legal ramifications to be able to stop another man from hurting my kids. And you see, I was in a situation as a kid where the man of the home beat the holy brakes off me, and the woman of the home agreed with that behavior, agreed with that mentality, agreed with that level of punishment, agreed that it was a good idea to try to beat the evil out of me. Do you understand? Not love me and find out why I'm acting out or what's going on or anything else. Just beat it out of them. Well, this is my weekend with my kids. Daughter's birthday is just a few days away. And just last week, I went to the birthday party the mom threw. No problems, no conflict, no controversy. Had cake, watched my daughter open presents, brought her presents. And then today, at 3:30, when the kids are supposed to be showing up, instead I get a text message from the mom saying that I've violated the court orders and the kids aren't coming. And now I can't see my kids except once an hour or once a week for an hour at a state facility that I have to pay for. And somehow, even though I didn't get a court date and I haven't had a chance to understand why they say that they could change the court order and how they managed to do it, I haven't seen legal paperwork. So whether or not it's true or not yet, I don't know. And if it is, I'll have my day in court and I'll get it fixed. But I can't call any kind of law enforcement and force my weekend with my kids because those are her property. And if I have a problem with it, my only recourse in the state of Oregon is to spend at least $5,000 for a lawyer just to retain one. That's the cheapest lawyer in Oregon to even start to fight the process of what's going on with my kids. And I don't have any money. I have no money. And when I say I have no money, I really have no money. I'm not poor me. I just don't have any money right now. I don't have a way to earn income right now. Lucky to have a roof over my head of any kind. Very grateful for the series of miracles that led me to have heat and warmth and light. And it wasn't because I had money. It was like I really needed those things in my life to figure this out so I could be stationary and fight for my kids again, and not even knowing that I had a new battle to fight. I've already been to court 3 or 4 times this year. I successfully defended myself in a court of law on multiple things. And now based on a default judgment, because I didn't understand. See, I got to take responsibility for my own. I didn't understand how, because I represented myself. I didn't understand how to write my series of requests that I wanted in a court of law. And so they got a judgment default for all this craziness that wasn't found to be necessary or warranted in the situation. But because I didn't file a rebuttal on it, they got a default judgment. So this is my fault. You see, like, you have to be able to like pull it apart and look at it from all angles. And when you get right down to it, it was my lack of education and inability to pay somebody else to do it for me that led to this current situation. It's my fault. I should have studied harder. I should have learned more. I should have been more on point. I'm not a good enough dad because I don't understand law well enough yet, but I will. You see, I will, because I love my kids, and figuring out the way to do this is frustrating because there's not even any legal recourse I can use because she has full custody. So I can't even claim that my private property is being violated by the way that he treats my kids. I can't even use the only legal jargon that I have that works in a court of law. I can't do it. And so it's not even that I need to learn the laws. Obviously, I've done a little bit of studying. The problem is I somehow have to get a law passed that gives a human being a legal way to stop abuse, to get a counselor involved that actually understands what's going on with the child and can truly diagnose and help the child to grow healthy. Like, even if I'm not allowed to see my kids, the way that they're being treated, there should still legally, there should have to be some kind of oversight no matter what, just for the kids' sake, right? And when I removed myself from this and how I felt, which I have to be honest, I'm rather sad. I wanted to see my kids today. I was in the middle of making a cake for my daughter. Took me a couple hours. I was real proud of it. And she doesn't get to see it. I can't even text her. I have to figure out what the legal ramifications and if she's actually done this or she just used an excuse not to let me talk to my daughter, because I text my kids good morning and I love you every day, and at least 2 or 3 times a week I talk to my kids. So now I'm not allowed to do that at all, according to Jennifer, and I don't know. So now I have to figure out how to create a law and how to get the backing to get a law passed, and not at a state level, the federal level, that makes the states acknowledge this. And you say, what? Yeah. The way that I see it is the problem is that there isn't a law that automatically stops these kind of scenarios. It's not that anyone's at fault or anything else, but there definitely should be some kind of law that stops children from being in terrible situations, period. And there should definitely be a law that makes it from both angles, like not just the woman and not just the man. And in the state of Oregon, it's definitely geared towards the woman. It's not even asked. Like, if a woman needs a lawyer in the state of Oregon, they're giving one for free, and all the legal resources they need, and food vouchers, and housing vouchers, and programs for them and their children, and the whole 9 yards. But if a man needs a lawyer, he's expected to have enough money to be able to pay for it. And if he doesn't, he's not a man. He must not love his kids enough. It doesn't matter that I've halfway educated myself on like 1/50th of the fucking child law and family law. It doesn't even matter that I've slowly but surely have been like wanting to pass the bar and might get it done in the next 10 years. It doesn't even matter about that. It's like, how how does one get a law passed? So that's what I didn't like, and I wanted to share this evening. It was the second thing, and it was supposed to be really big, I guess. I don't know how else. Like, I've had these kind of like things happen, and they've been happening for years now, and I don't think I've gotten numb to it. Like, I got really sad, but I wasn't even really sad that she didn't get to see my cake that I made her. I was just sad I didn't get to hug my kids today. And I was kind of sad that, like, you know, I don't get to hear dad. And now I don't get to hear dad. I'll be there next. Watch this. I'll find out on Monday at the courthouse whether or not this is true. And if it is, till I get it changed, I guarantee you I'm going to figure out how to be at whatever state facility I have to go to so I can visit my kids and see them, because they're worth it. And I ain't got no pride that gets in the way of doing whatever hoops I need to jump through to be in my kids' lives. But dealing with this, with the mindset that I've been describing to you, free will. I have the free will to let anything destroy my life, and I have the free will to use what I find as something negative and transmute it into something positive. And if I'd have never had these experiences in a family court situation, I'd have never been aware in any way, shape, or form of how many holes there are and why the kids are falling through the holes so rampantly and so frequently. Do you know how many missing children we have in America? And all of you guys shy away from that as soon as you start hearing statistics. Ooh, but it's true. It's so true. Like, over the last 5 years, you populate a small country with all the missing kids. It's a lot of kids. my personal pain and sorrow and things, I want to work through it. Got to work through it. Got to let it go. Already identified it. I didn't even go to secondary armor. I think of anger as armor. I don't think of it as, something bad. I think of it as something good. But I don't even have anger for this. That one shocked me a little bit. The level of evil. Because you have to understand, I got the text message at right the perfect time, right when I was expecting the kids. And knowing that I was throwing a birthday party for my daughter this weekend, knew that. So now I have to be very careful. Now I have to go without speaking to my children. The very thing that I talked about in another video, coincidentally, just a couple days ago, almost like my ex watches these videos and still stalks me. Take my kids. And I feel like it's just another speed bump in the road. Look at my kids back. Never done anything wrong to them. Never done anything wrong to them. I yelled at my daughter once, I promise. Go read the court paperwork. You'll find out the only thing I've done wrong to any of my children is once I yelled at my daughter. Screamed my head off. And spank her. Never spanked either one of them. Haven't yelled at them since. Not in any way, shape, or form. Like, they don't like it when you tell them that they're doing wrong. And they don't like to have to sit down and think about it. You know how kids get. And they're getting older. So they think they're getting wiser. And they think I'm getting dumber. And it's okay. It's just loving your kids, right? But, like, it's been really rough to watch my kids not be able to trust that I can protect them. And it's been very frustrating as a human being to experience being powerless against the man, right? Like, you can't, how do you fight against a system that at every level you turn to, no matter where you make a complaint, no matter what, I have no rights as a human being in regards to my own children. Having never done violence, never put hands on the mom, never once. Never put hands on the stepdad, never once. Never showed up, never did any stalking, never nothing. Stayed the hell out of their lives, just want to be part of my kids' life, and it's just gotten worse all the time. And every time that man's hurt my kids, and I threatened him, because that did happen. Oh, that happened. He just called the cops. They put a tire lockdown and made me look crazy and made me look antisocial and made me look like a criminal and like I was very violent and dangerous. Even though it never happened, and even though they cried wolf for years, they're still crying wolf. It's days like this where it's a calculated psychological attempt to get under my skin or to cause me to act out in a certain way. Like, I had to learn that that was the response that these people wanted, and they're willing to hurt my children in whatever way to elicit some kind, to be like right about the narrative that they tried to push on me. And like, it's not me. And if it's not me and you keep saying it and there's nothing going on, at some point someone's got to be like, okay, maybe it's the mom. And yet, still isn't. Still need a lawyer. Still need to pass the bar myself and figure out how to file a bunch of stuff and get it all done. And like, and I'm going to do it. I don't slack on nothing. I don't have any money. I don't have any rich friends. Just got me. And so I got to make me good enough to stand in a court of law, face tattoo and all, and sue the living shit out of the state somehow. And sue the living shit out of the people involved. It makes my stomach sick because like it's like taking away from my kids. You understand? Like, and there's some things like defamation where I can absolutely sue both of them for a lot of money. It's already a done court case. I just, being negative back, it's not me. If we're having a direct conflict, sure, I'll tell you to go fuck yourself to your face. I'll even fist fight you. You're not going to find anybody say, I'll fucking kill you. Don't say that to people. I have no intent like that. And when I do say shit like that, apparently it scares people and they call the cops on me. But I wanted you to see me in the now, right now, with all this going on and feeling like I do and dealing with the emotions and understanding I got to eat that cake myself. I didn't come on here and act like a dick. I chose not to share the pain, just the experience. I chose not to ask you to take sides or anything else. You don't know anything about the situation. I could be lying, right? You'd have to read the paperwork yourself to understand the truth of the nature of what is, right? There's always three sides to every story, correct? But it's possible to deal with things like this head on, like an adult, regardless of how it makes you feel. And that's why I'm a free man. It's why I'm still free. And I hope you watch this. Maybe it helps you look at some hard situation in your life and be like, you know what, I got this. I can deal with this. I can figure this out. There's a whole bunch of things that need to be worked on, but I can figure this out. There's no other way but forward. Everything changes. Everything's got to change. So something's got to give eventually, right? I have faith in that.